So welcome to this very brief edition of Velocity Kinetics today. Just really want to comment on the whole Ferrari situation, on what's happened in Formula 1. Now, last year Ferrari had a lot of hate thrown at them for making huge gains with their engine. Now, some of it may not have strictly been legal. There were allegations around oil burning and fuel flow monitoring and maybe putting through more fuel than they should have done, and allegations around the fuel that they were using as well. Now, there's been an investigation by the FIA. The FIA have said they've reached a private conclusion with Ferrari, and it seems like Ferrari have just been fined. Now, there is a lot of history with Ferrari and the FIA, as in there have been a lot of punishments Ferrari have received. Excuse me, that's my computer making a noise. There's been a lot of allegations punishments Ferrari have received that other teams would not have received the same sort of punishment for, whether that is a worse punishment or a complete disqualification. As to what this does, it's very hard to say. Now, the 7 non-Ferrari powered teams have responded and basically said they're disgusted. There's a long, complicated explanation, but in short, they're disgusted, which they are entitled to be. And if they weren't, I'd be concerned. The thing is, look, just to play devil advocate ever so slightly, I just realised I've got a stain on my jumper. Sarah is sleeping for a night shift, and I don't go back in the bedroom to potentially wake her up, risk waking her up. Don't know about anyone who watches this, if they've got any significant others who occasionally do night shifts, but you don't really want to be... They're cranky enough on the other end of the night shift when everything's gone well. Never mind what they can get like before. Anyway, just to play devil's advocate a bit in Ferrari's favour, Ferrari had quite a low downforce car, so actually the engine improvements may not necessarily have been that great. It's just because the car was so slippery through the air that it was just a rocket down the straights, which also might explain why in some places it was just an absolute peaked corner, at least until they sorted out things like the cape around the nose, a couple more winglets and turning vanes on the front end by the time they got to Singapore, which made it win the Singapore Grand Prix trade, because Singapore is not exactly the easiest place to overtake, so if you're in front, chances are you're gonna win. Ferrari had a brilliant winter testing in the sense of everything went right, nothing went wrong. Mercedes had a bad winter testing in that aspect last year. But that said, Mercedes are horrible for sandbagging, and it winds me up. Now, I appreciate they shouldn't be run on the trade-off, is they shouldn't be running out pan car to maximum ability, but it's this whole some sort of Sun Tzu quote where it's like you make yourself look weaker, so then people don't know how strong you are. Something like that. That's the main premise of the point that they're making. As to how they proceed from here, Ferrari have not had a good winter testing this year. Could have been better, but maybe they've taken some lessons from Mercedes last year, as in played it down and just carried on, and just hoping that they can blow everyone out the water when they turn up at the first Grand Prix. Ferrari turned up last year thinking that they were just going to walk away with it, and to be honest, I think most of the F1 world was ready for them to do it, not just as in they perform well in testing, but just as in, I'm ready for someone else to start winning. As to what will happen this year, I don't honestly know. I really don't want Mercedes to run away with it unless it's Valtteri. I think people could tolerate Mercedes winning again if it wasn't Hamilton winning. Now, not to belittle Hamilton's talent, because whilst I'm a supporter of the theory of Hamilton is not as good as he actually is, as in he's not done time in a bad car, but at the same time he's always found himself in the right car. And what is it? Well, if he's in the fastest car, what do I expect him to do with it? I expect him to do a Grosjean or Maldonado and stick it in the barrier every 20 minutes. So as much as I got annoyed with Vettel winning all those championships in the Red Bull, it's like the car was the fastest and he could drive it the fastest. It's like, well, what was he going to do? Just sit at the side of the track and do the crossword in the times. The response the 77 non-Ferrari powered teams have issued, it's caused a stir. The FIA, as I understand it, haven't issued a proper response to this as of yet, and legal proceedings may still go ahead. Now, on the business side of things, it's a two-way fault with what's happened. The FIA and the World Motorsport Council they've shot themselves in the foot. Basically, they've essentially said, Ferrari, you can get away with it in many ways, and they've what Mark Priestley, F1 Elvis, I shared one of his videos on here. If you're not already subscribed to him, it's a brilliant channel to watch. Only the sort of thing I can ever aspire to be, at least at the moment. But he made a brilliant point in one of his videos recently about the Ferrari thing. It's very ranty, but it is well worth it because the point is brilliant. Essentially, the point is, for God's sake, FIA, if there was nothing wrong, say. If there was something wrong, or say. If it was in a grey area, say. The way they've done it is sort of in a way as if I walked up to someone and said, I hurt. Or it's an example I used to use when I used to coach people at Santander, and when they got stuck on a call, they wouldn't explain things properly. But okay, so you're basically saying I hurt. So where do you hurt? How much do you hurt? How long has the hurt been going on? That sort of thing. It's like what they've said is just crap. There's no information. It's wrong to say we want data to go with it, because you can't always have the data to go with it, and Ferrari won't, more than likely, and the FIA more than likely won't ever tell us exactly what has gone on. But the point remains that they've executed it really, really poorly. I'm all for technical innovation, especially if Ferrari found a brilliant way to get more horsepower out of their engine. But if it isn't legal, it isn't legal. It's a bit like DAS, dual axis steering. Brilliant piece of engineering, but if it's wrong, if it's illegal, it's illegal. It's not. There's no two ways around it. That said, a team like Ferrari wouldn't have put the time and effort into doing whatever it is they did if they didn't think what they were doing was legal. So there's the catch-22. As to what this means for F1, it's a tough one. Like I said, on the business side of things, the trust has gone from the FIA. The trade-off is that teams might potentially want to have gone Ferrari-powered again, like Red Bull and Toro Rosso, Alpha Tauri. Apparently it's Alpha Tauri it's pronounced, not Alpha Tauri. I'm just going to, because it's, I'm just calling the SAT, so the SAT team, because I think it's Scuderia Alpha Tauri. So the SAT car, the RBR car, they're both Honda powered. If Honda pull out, they're going to need an engine. And it's either going to be back to Renault or onto Ferrari. Likewise, Williams, whilst there's never been a Williams-Ferrari tie-up, there'd never been a Williams-Mercedes tie-up before, so Williams can't afford to rule out anyone as an engine supplier. Trade-off is, would Ferrari ever supply a World Championship team like Williams? Probably not, because given the engineering capabilities that team have. Likewise, Force India. Well, not Force. Why do I keep calling Force India? The team that's about to become Aston Martin. I'll just call them Aston for now, because that's what they're going to be known as forever and a day. They use Mercedes power at the moment. They've used Ferrari power before. Now, they'll probably keep using Mercedes power when they're Alpha, because there's time between between AMG Merc and Aston Martin, so it makes perfect marketing sense. But the possibility exists they might need to run Ferrari power unless they can get some sort of Cosworth power into the back of the car. That would be the only way that on this business side of things that everything would be okay, is if you could get a Cosworth in or an Ilmore and go independent. So it's costing business on that side of things, as in future business and so on and so forth. It, however, does not bring a lot of confidence to anyone, and I'm at a loss as to where it all stands. I don't know if it's because it's Ferrari, everyone's like this. Mercedes has been operating at times in the grey areas, as have Red Bull, and they never received a fraction of this scrutiny. Now, whether that means that what Mercedes and Red Bull are actually doing is actually a case of no, the media just blown it out of proportion, or whether Ferrari have really been cheating that bad, if it is cheating at all. So I'm very annoyed by it. I'm very confused by it. Maybe I'm confused because I'm annoyed, or I'm annoyed because I'm confused, or I'm annoyed because I've not had a lot of sleep. I'm on my days off at the moment, and I'm still getting up as if I'm still at work, and as in that's my body just waking me up then, and I'm not sleeping as long as I would like to be. So hence my messy appearance, and also because of, as mentioned, Sarah's on a night, sleeping for a night shift, can't really be running the shower because the shower sort of backs onto the partition wall of the bedroom, and the bed's just quite literally 2 feet away from that wall. So, anyway, we'll see how it goes. We'll just have to wait and see what happens, but I'm expecting more and more fallout from this, and this could also potentially mean if Ferrari get excluded from the World Championship, if there's an appeal and it goes legal and someone said, no, you were flatly cheating, this means a lot of things. For one, it means Red Bull go up to number 2 in last year's championship, which also means, I think it's $24 million extra prize money they get. That would also mean that we'd have a knock-on effect all the way down the table. So that would mean all the way down to Williams would place 8th, not 9th, or 10th, whatever place they placed. They place 1 up, get more money into their bank account. You'd then have people who potentially wouldn't hire Charles Leclerc or Vettel because it's like you've been complicit in lying. Don't shall we want you in our teams? It's a tough one to know what to say, to do, but we'll have to keep watching what happens, and well, that pretty much sums it up. Well, right, we'll be back again for another edition shortly. Look after yourselves, drive safe. Remember to please keep donating via the PayPal link, paypal.me/velocitykinetics, and we'll see you all later.